Paige is a special collections assistant here at the library, and she helps people when they have questions or problems working in this particular platform. So we welcome Paige Hurley today.
Sorry, I'm a librarian, so I do not have a very loud voice that carries. My name is Paige Hurley, and I'm a special collections assistant here. And we have a long history of working with our local writers groups and other local authors, and our mission to help connect you guys with your readers has expanded beyond just our local author collection, but also to now help you guys self-publish your work. And we do that through Pressbooks. Our Pressbooks platform is an online formatting that creates the interior files of your print book or your ebook. I wanted to start out by first just showing you guys a couple examples of books that have been formatted with Pressbooks. We've got them up on the table here. Feel free to piece through them and look at the inside of them to fully see how these files turned out and these books turned out. We've got, all of these were produced in the last 6 years. Sins of My Brothers is by our wonderful local author, Phil Perry, and he produced that in 2023. Ches Allen's Born of the Mountain was also produced on Pressbooks in 2023. Voice Lessons is by the local author, Rick Presson. You might know with him. He's terrible. And he formatted this book with Pressbooks, and then local county historian Rick Warwick released Bethesda and surrounding communities in 2023 as well with this platform. So you can format nonfiction books, regular fiction manuscripts, poetry, and nonfiction works with photographs and extensive photographs as well in this collection. I thought it's best to show how this works, really. So I was going to start by showing you guys how to access Pressbooks. You access it through the library's website. And it's under the Services tab. We've got this really nice section called Local Writers Resources. And right at the top we have Pressbooks Self-Publishing Platform. You'll click that link and it'll bring you to the opening page. Here you'll click the blue Connect via your local library. If you have a BiblioBoard account because you did the Indie Author Project or something, you would sign in here. Otherwise, you would create a profile. And you would be able to link it to your email address, create your username and password. Once you log in, you come to a dashboard that looks like this. We're looking at my account, so bear with me, there's going to be a lot of books on there. And you'll have your dashboard, and under the My Books tab, you can see what books that you're creating or working on. Here we can click Create a Book, which would be where you guys are starting out. And when you create a new book, it creates a web book. If you're doing, you're a professor and you're looking at creating an open access resource for students, this would be where your web book would be used because it creates a digital website of your book. For everybody else, it's mostly just to really iterate how present the coding is that creates the book, because it is CSS coding, so a computer program that does all the formatting for you. You will create a site name, and it just has to be unique, and then you can give your book a title. There is a privacy section, so if you don't want anyone on the internet to ever find the web book version of your book, you just click no, you don't want anyone to see it, and then you'll create your book. You'll be brought to the dashboard of that book, and I'm gonna just do a test book, and it'll come up here with the dashboard. I'm gonna go through everything on that left side menu here, and you're gonna go back and forth in different orders. It just makes the most sense to start out by just going down the list. The most used section is going to be your organized section. This is where you will put everything in your book. If you have your manuscript in Microsoft Word, this is where you're going to copy and paste it in. And you can add your front matter, so your introduction, dedication, acknowledgements, prologue in the front matter section. And this will give it a specific set of page numbers and it will come before your opening. Then you have sections where you can add chapters. When you go in, you can also add in your back matter like an appendix, about the author, indexes, as you work it. I wanted to show you the editor. So when you hover over and click edit for the chapter, you can add in, you'll just copy and paste right into the text box. Has anybody used WordPress before? Okay, some of you guys, it is WordPress based. If you're familiar with WordPress blogging, this will come like second nature for you. Otherwise, it is still very user-friendly because you can copy and paste everything in here, change whether you want it as a paragraph or a heading. You can also format it for your indents or tracking as well, add text boxes and photographs. On the right or at the bottom, depending on how you have the page set up, you'll have this red save button. You can also have it show and export. You'll also have this little bit that shows you how your revisions, and this will track every revision you make. So if you create a version and you're like, I like the old one better, you can go back in and restore the old version. At the bottom, you'll have metadata, so this is where you can add authors if you're working on an anthology, like the Harpeth River Writers did. And you can also change the type of front matter as well. After the organization tab, you have the book info. And now this is where your book title will be, where you will add in the contributors, give you all your copyright info, your publication info if you are self-publishing. You can also put your, all the way down, they have a section for your book description. So if you are like me and you manage to lose that all the time, you can throw that in here and be able to find it pretty quickly. This can also list your prices as well. Underneath the book info, you have contributors. So if you are working with an author or maybe you're working on an editor, you can add people here. And by just adding a contributor, it'll add somebody to that author line. Now the appearance is going to be how your book is going to look. This will be how it'll create a theme based on your headings, your chapter names. It will all be formatted to look a certain way. And you can select a theme, and when you click on the theme, hover and click theme details, it will tell you what this might be good for. So mysteries, memoirs, romance for the Christie theme. And you can then activate the theme. Under theme options is where you make all of your changes. This will be, you have the global options, which will be across your print book, your web book, and your ebook. And this will be where those options are. So how you want your part to be labeled, your chapter labels, that will be there. You'll spend a lot of time in the PDF options. This is where how your print ebook turns out. You can select your fonts and everything. This is also where you pick the size of your book. You can select the page size and it will then highlight all of these margins. Now, this is the big thing that separates Pressbooks from formatting your book in Microsoft Word, is that it pre-formats your margins. So please, as soon as you select the size, do not change the margins. You have the option to. Don't touch it. That's usually how it gets sent back on KDP and with publishers. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Otherwise, you can also change how you want your sections to open in your chapters. This is where you'll also put the running matter, and it automatically formats it to be in that top, right by that top margin. And you can decide whether you want the author title, chapter title in this section here. I'm going to very quickly go over the custom styles because this is, hopefully you never have to touch this section. Ideally, if you have a question, you are contacting Special Collections, and we are the ones that are going to help you do that, because this is if you need to, there's something on the page, like a little calligraphy note that you don't want, we can suppress that. If you need to change your page numbers, this is where we go in and fix that, because this is all coding. So ideally, you never touch it. And at the very bottom, you can add in your custom style, and we can then put in the CSS coding. Otherwise, this is all of the coding that formats your book. If you want to see what your book looks like, we have to export it. You will export the book by selecting the format you want, and when you click export, it generates a PDF version of that book. You can kind of see in the text editor how it looks, but I will say, if you want to see how your margins look, how you're running headers, your page numbers, you're going to have to export, and you will export your book about 1,000,006 times. I do apologize for the state of your downloads folder on your computer. You'll just click it down here, download, and it will, we can open that up, and it will show, this is what the book looks like right now. So you have your title page, and it is every single piece of paper that will be in the book. So there will be blank pages if you want a blank page. And it will format your title, your table of contents, so you don't have to add that in. I know I was just talking with Cindy, and formatting to an ebook, it hyperlinks automatically for the EPUB files. So you will export. Anytime you make a change, this is going to be how you will see exactly how it turns out. Then you have, I'm going to go over the media section. If you have pictures, you can add them to your media library here, and you can add the files. If you are planning on printing in black and white, please upload your photos in grayscale. For whatever reason, publishers and distributors get confused. If they are supposed to print something in black and white but the photos are in color, they get a little confused, so we just have to make it easier on them. And then you have the users section. This is where I always direct people if you need help, because that's something that Special Collections provides. If you're not alone while you're working on this book and you're formatting it. If you have a question, or maybe you're going on vacation and you need to contact us, you can always email Special Collections to take a look at your book and help you figure out why something is formatting weird. Because it could be a copy-paste error, and we have to just go in and delete some of the formatting. Other times, sometimes, like maybe you don't like where the page numbers are. And you can add a user with an email, and you can put in like my email address, and select the role as an editor, and that will allow me to then make changes and help you out if you have something. That's a way if you're like traveling or you don't have to come into the library to, you don't always have to come in with your questions. We love it when you do, but we understand that you guys are very busy people, so we want to make sure that we have that available to you guys. And we have more tools, which is just here for like cloning your book if you want to create an ebook after a PDF print book. Pressbooks is really up to you guys. That is, I think, the best part about this program is that it gives you guys control over your files. It is how you guys are formatting your book, and you guys will always have your files. I know when you hire somebody or you have a publisher create the interior of your book, they might have a copy of your files, but you get to decide how that looks. And that's one of the strongest aspects of Pressbooks for you guys, because you can change how something looks with the coding. And you don't have to know the coding, because you can either talk to Special Collections, because we've got a whole set. We also have a representative that what we don't know, we can contact a representative with Pressbooks. Her name is Kara, and she is fantastic. So not only do you have us helping you, you have now somebody who works for the company that their job is to assist us in answering our problems and solving them with us. it has been, we've had several books done through Pressbooks, and all of them are different. Your book will create all these new challenges for you, but we're here for you for that reason as well. Let's see, and then I did want to put up, want to make this short and sweet because I know that people have, this is more question-based because everybody has a unique situation. So I did want to be able to very quickly put up my information as well, and then also be available for you guys to ask questions as it relates to your book and what your concerns are with Pressbooks. I want to be able to be here to answer that for you guys.
It's just phenomenal. How long have y'all been doing this?
We started doing this, like 2017, Jeffy. Sorry, I'm looking at my
Sounds about right.
I haven't been here that long, so I've only been here like 2 years, so she would know, but 2017 that we've been doing this.
And
Is
you
that
don't even
bottom-
have to touch base with us. You can just use it. I was surprised when one of their representatives from Pressbooks reached out to us and he's like, yeah, you've got 80 authors using it. And I was like, I've never, so it's very nice. It's a nice product in that you can do it online. This year is the first year the state of Tennessee's been able to participate in the Indie Author Project's contest.
Yes.
So we've got one entry that we're aware of from our library in it.
And that's just because I helped them submit. I helped them before. That's the only reason I know. Yes.
Yeah,
Do you need a microphone?
no,
Okay.
I'm pretty loud. I have a book on how to write a screenplay, and I'd like to put it on the web, on the net. But of course, there's a lot of different kinds of formatting when you're doing screenplay pages. How is that set up?
Okay, so pretty much you can set up, I'm going to show you with the text editor all the things that you can do. So let's go to a regular chapter. So for you, for screenplay writing, it's more center focus, I will admit.
Well, there's, the dialogue is centered, but the other begins on the left edge. And then there's some stuff on the right edge. I mean, it just
Yeah.
keeps changing, so.
So you can absolutely change that where you can have the alignment change as you're writing. And if you want to use, there is a pre-formatted option which looks very similar to the old like Courier New. So it looks very similar and you could have examples in that way. And if you need to allow for like, if you want it to be like one cohesive unit, we've used text boxes in this way as well to be able to then put in all the content, and you can format it with the alignment, and then you'll have it as one unit with commentary underneath. And that's just off the top of my head.
Okay.
So there could be some adjustments that are made
Yeah.
when you're actually looking at the unit. That's just my first thought.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, do you need a microphone?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Quick question on getting covers and getting it on Ingram. Since the specs for Amazon are different than Ingram Sparks, I have 3 books I've never been able to get on Ingram because they keep saying the cover won't work and, you know, they need this amount of bleed. And I went back to my cover designer and paid her to redo it to make it work for Ingram. And I still never could get Ingram to accept my thing. Can you, have you had issues with cover getting it on Ingram and on Amazon since their specs are different?
So usually we go, when we work with, most of our content with creating covers comes from dealing with Rick Warwick's books because our department helps him produce his books. And typically we download, Ingram Spark has under their resource center, a cover generator template, and we usually use that.
As opposed to a cover designer then that you pay?
We don't do that, but you can give them, you can download that template and you can give it to your cover designer that you pay. We don't personally touch covers. Rick Warwick just has his volunteer come into special collections because he doesn't, and we help him download that template and we have it sent to his volunteer. But they have a cover template generator that I would recommend using because of that purpose of the bleed issue. And Ingram Spark is a distributor, so then you can just have Ingram also put it on Amazon, as opposed to, in addition, going to KDP if you're going to use Ingram. Both are pretty good options for covers. And then I would hire somebody from either Fiverr or Upwork. Typically, we recommend people to be there. Yes.
Does your website have the ability to connect to a site that you can select a cover from?
This one does not. It has an option for you to upload a cover, but we tell everybody to wait and upload your cover with either if you're using KDP or you are using Ingram. We work with Ingram a little bit more than KDP's, and we have a representative with Ingram, so I will admit we kind of side a little bit with pointing authors in that direction because of that. And usually we tell them, I think some of the other authors here have used those sources, but we don't directly link them to that. You got a question?
Yeah, so where is Pressbook available? I don't live in Williamson County, do I have to?
So it's, as long as you have a Williamson County Library card, you can use it.
Okay.
You might have, we've had some issues with the IP address where you might have to get started at the library or create your account and create your book here, but then you are able to edit it wherever. So,
And is Davidson County people allowed to,
if they have a Williamson County Library card,
and you'll allow out-of-county people to get one?
yes, we do have that policy for the out of county. Yes, Kathy?
I was gonna add to that, a lot, when you open an account with Pressbooks, your location is determined by the IP address of your, service provider, like if I'm on cable. And this happened to me, I'm in South Williamson County, with the Spring Hill zip code, and so it wouldn't recognize me, and your department had to override and make sure I could get in there. So if that ever happens to anyone, just call
Just
the
call us.
library. Yeah.
I'm more than happy to send a strongly worded email on your behalf. I'm more than happy to do that. Yes.
And one other question, if I understand it right, you had one that they recommended for memoirs and romances and whatever. So can you just pick that format thing and it will automatically do the indent in the paragraph and it'll make the first letter of the, chapter big, so I don't have to be making the decisions. In other words, I want my book to look like a traditionally published book, let's say a romance, and I would rather, frankly, if somebody who knows what they're doing have that. Is that what that Christie theme then would be? I could just
Yep.
point my book in there?
Yep.
And then do you have to get rid of all of my formatting? For example, should I put it in with no paragraph indents?
You
or-
could just copy and paste it, and then I would recommend going from your Word document. I would recommend then going back over it and double checking, because sometimes there is a copy paste error, because Microsoft Word does put in quote unquote coding when you format, when you make something bold, when you make something in italic. So occasionally there might just be a little glitch in there. You might end up with a weirdly large sentence, and that's why we tell people you can copy and paste, but then export it, look at it, make sure that you didn't have too drastic of an error situation in that.
And with the left justification, is it good about not having these big, huge spaces that, how sometimes it just looks really homemade when you see rotten formatting on the amount of space between words?
And the justification does that, and it's pretty good about making sure that you don't end up with three words on a line.
Or I don't like, every single line ends with a hyphen.
Yep, and you can choose to have the hyphens or not having hyphens in the theme options. It has a section, where do we go? Enable hyphenation. If you don't want hyphens, you just keep that box unchecked. And for a lot of the spacing issues, don't touch your margins. That's how you usually, if you wanted something to look homemade, it's usually because there's an issue with the margins that'll either make them really, really skinny or really, really big.
Does this apply to poetry also, where the margins are larger so that the poetry is centered?
Yeah, I'll show you because I did do a book of poetry. And let me do an export for you of this one. Sometimes the larger your book, the longer it will take for this little blue line to export.
I tend to write in poetry form.
Absolutely. So we've got this one set with a left justification in this book. However, you can set a centered justification and be able to put it in the center of the page if you would like. This was just that author's preference to have them on the left. Otherwise, it would be in that organized section. I would have, you can select.
Now, do we have to buy our own ISBN number? I know with Amazon, they assign it. How does that work with this?
We tell people to get your own ISBN number. Ingram Spark will give you a free one, but that means that whoever you're going with, Amazon or Ingram, will have some say in where your book can only be printed or published. If you own that ISBN number, I know it's expensive. If you own it, you are in control of where you want to distribute it. So and that's a huge aspect of having control. So we always recommend people get their own ISBN. If they're going to get one, just pay for it, buy it, and get it for that reason. Yes, Jeffy?
You're talking a lot about copying and pasting from Word. So would you recommend that someone, before they start copying and pasting, save their book as just plain text and then copy and paste it over?
They can. We've got one author that's testing out how much he likes actually just writing his manuscript straight into Pressbooks. He seems to be he seems pretty happy with it so far when I've been checking in with him, because he's one of those authors that does come in and pop in and lets us know how his day's going. I love that. But we've seen that as well. You can save it as plain text and then go back and reformat it yourself. But if you already have it like bolded in certain areas, we haven't seen drastic issues with just copying and pasting if you've got like bolded words or italics somewhere. It might change your justification, so if you've got like a date that's aligned right, you might have to go back and realign it to the right, but that's about it.
And are you willing to be kind of giving us advice and editorial stuff? Like me personally, that poetry one, I would have rather have seen it centered. Is that the kind of thing you might tell authors if they're willing to listen, that in my experience, this might look better this way, or?
Yes, and we always say, like, it's up to you.
Sure.
You have the final say, but we'll say, do you like it this way? And usually we'll like kind of guide them a little bit on that. We do not do like copy editing type of like reading over the work. So if you want to make sure that you have no grammatical or wording errors or your editing, that's on you guys. Either hire an editor, comb through it with a fine-tooth comb for a week or so, but otherwise we do help with that and like justification of photographs as well. Okay, I can leave my information up here. I've got my email and then as well as the general special collections email because I'm only part-time. But feel free to look over on the 4 books on the left side of that table are the score books that I showed at the beginning where you can actually see, and the voice lessons is a poetry book. If you would like, you would probably be interested in looking at that one specifically.